Hello and welcome back to In the Circle Ministries. This is one of our automobile fixes that we're doing. Again, one of the how-tos. I know in my last videos I never introduced myself on the channel, but this is In the Circle Ministries, our virtual YouTube ministry. And we cover a lot of things here, from your spirituality to civics to auto mechanics and maybe some horticulture or whatever it may be that involves you and yourself and how to take care of things yourself. So, but anyway, this is a 2012 Toyota Venza V6. Now, I'll be taking out the radiator and replacing it that blowed out. So there's a couple of things I have to take off, and as I do in all my videos, since I'm here by myself, you have these little pop things and some screws. I have to go through, well, not up him, but here, and go through and take off all of these things. And then when I get up under there, there's a hard piece of metal that holds this in, and a couple more, the horn and a couple more other things. So I'll be taking that off, the fans, the hoses, and disconnecting the transmission lines from the radiator, and I'll be taking that out of the vehicle. And I'll be showing you a different way if I can get it to shine in it. If you can see right down here, there's a little nipple sticking up right there where that light is shining, and that will be your bleeder line. And if I was in the shop, or there's more than one way to do this. You can have it and you can loosen that, just like it would be just like on your brake caliper. If you want to bleed the brakes, you could take that hose and loosen it, and take that nipple is what I call it, and loosen it, and then you can put a hose on top of it, and you will bring that hose all the way over here to a pressurized cap. Container would be a big jug that sits on top of this, and you would let it run through. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to leave that closed. I'm going to fill it up whenever I do get the radiator, the new one, put in and replace, and let it run for a while, and let it circulate that way, and clear it out, and let it run hot, and then fill it back up. But let me go ahead and get off all these things I need to get off to take this piece off here off the front. As I said before, the 2012 Toyota Venza, let me pronounce the word right. Venza LE. Okay. And so let me get started on this, and I'll be right back. And this is the tool I was using to take off all of these buttons that I've taken off out of all these places here. Here, and here. You just, like, first of all, you just get up under there, and then once you do get it up, you want to get up under there, all the way in there like that, and take it up and remove it. And so I'm going to be taking this cover off here in a second, which just pops right off after I take these off, and I'll be right back. And now that I got all the bolts off, you can just go ahead and take the cover off. And then, like these 10mm bolts, a couple places like this right here, I'm going to take him off. You let me get more room, and I better set him off to the side. I don't think I have to disconnect any of these wires, but I take him off 10mm. Then once I take him off, I come back and take this off. Can leave him. Take these two off. Take these two off, and then I will have to take this one and this one off, so I can release the hood latch away from this bracket, and this whole bracket is going to come off where I can get to the radiator. And then back here we have our fan that I will be taking the wires off of the fan back here. I don't know if you can actually see them, but there's two connectors that come into a box that goes for your coolant fans, and removing them and separating them. And then once I get in here, I'll show you where the bolts are at for the actual radiator. And we will have to take off hoses, disconnect that hose from the bottom, and get up under here. There's the hose here at the top. And when I get there, I'll show you our the radiator lines that come in here too. So I will be back after I take off these 10s and this bracket. And after taking those two bolts off, this does lift up and come out, but I will disconnect that wire harness just so as I can have more mobility and getting it out of the way, and don't have to worry about tearing up or stretching anything. So, be right back. It's just a simple push button on the bottom. It will be on the bottom because it will sit in there like this. And you squeeze the bottom of it and pull it off. And that should give you access to that. Instead of taking that off, you can disconnect these other little air vent lines coming off the side. You can set it to the side. But what I'm going to do is, if you can see that clamp, I'm going to try to zoom in. The bottom of that right there is 2 squeezable clamps. I can squeeze on the side and pull that piece out and disconnect the wire harness from it so I can have more mobility. So you may want to check into that too. And that third 10mm bolt that we seen that was connected to this feather here on that side, that third one was in the middle, goes to this. So I'm going to disconnect that and pull them off. He runs back to your air vent as well. And I'm using the socket and the wrench. I don't have any power tools out here on the job. As we talked about in our other videos, in the Circle LLC, we do home repair and automotive services, and we are a mobile mechanic, and we do have a shop. So contact us for your local needs, serving Lancaster, South Carolina to the Columbia, South Carolina area, and from Lancaster, South Carolina, all the way up to Charlotte, North Carolina. But we're taking that out. Gonna get him up out of the way. Mostly he's about out of the way, but I will remove him and I'll be back soon. And this here was a tight spot, so I had to get the 10s. I decided to leave this here just in case I don't need to move it, and I'll figure that out in a little bit without having to take all that out. I don't think it's necessary. But this right here is a tight spot, so this is where you may have to use your 10 inches at socket. Whenever you can see some of these places won't allow you to get no socket on it. It's gonna be a wrench. Got to working too fast, but I'm gonna come back and show you. I already taken one of the horns off, and this one here is a 13. It takes a 13 wrench to get it off, unless you got a short socket and a short ratchet. So that's 13. I'm taking this 10 off now. I'm gonna take the rest of these 10s off and take this cover off, and then we're gonna see where we at. And another little tip that I do whenever I'm working by myself or I'm not at the shop, I use the car for my bolts holders. Like all of these, I know all of these go back in my top plastic piece, but these right here go on the left side of this cover I'm taking off. These go in the middle and where my horns are at, and this goes on the right hand side. And up here I have the pieces I have for this piece, the 3 bolts for that. So set them aside where you can get right back to them, and you know about where they go on the car. So they're up here because they go here. They're right there because they go right there. You know, and so on and so on. So that's another tool if you don't have nowhere else to store your bolts and stuff. And a lot of the tools, I usually don't leave them sitting out. I set them up here too so they never fall through and on the car. But the way I'm working now, I don't have to worry about it. But just another little tip. And once you're taking all them bolts out, like I said, this come off. I left the hood latch on there because it don't need to come off. But now we're down here at the radiator. And as you can see, there goes some of the wire harnesses I was telling you about connecting to the fans. I could take him off. I could take this hose off. And some of the things that'll be on here, I take those 2 wire connectors off too, off of the fans. And I don't know about the bottom, but I see here on the top I have these 3 clamps right here that you squeeze in. And those should allow me to remove the whole fan housing away from there. And when I get ready to bring the radiator out, I better bring it out. Was trying to get to see, could I show you the coolant lines? And maybe I won't be able to see those as clear as I would like to until I take this fan cover off. Because I think they're down here at the bottom. The coolant lines actually come in at the bottom of the radiator. But let me get this hose here connected with a pair of wire pliers. You grab here. Matter of fact, you just grab here and squeeze softly. You don't want to break nothing. And you see how the hose is, I don't know if you can see because I'm in the sun, but the hose is actually moving too. So now that it's broken free from the piece, I can just grab it and gradually pull it back. Not put too much pressure on the hose to damage it, but to bring it off and set him to the side. And that's coming from your reserves. As long as you keep it elevated above the tank, it won't leak. Physics. Okay, well, let me go in here and get this disconnected, and I will be right back. I've unclipped one of the wires, one of the main wires coming into what it looks like this whole, forgot what you call it, but it's like the little brain for the heating and air, for your cooling. And I've taken the water hose loose, taking the clamp off right here, sliding it back, and you do the same thing as you did with the on this end. You want to break it free and then slide it off. And what I'll be doing next, as you can see, it's broke free. I'll be moving this off and seeing if I need to take these loose. Those are hard to get to because the bottom is where the release is at. So if I do anything else, I may just take them out. I'll swell it up so you can see that in this bracket as well. It's trying to take a picture. I need to make my phone stop that. I don't want to do a capture. And I apologize. I had some sweat to get on the phone, and this phone had restarted. So there's some brackets in here that you see the wires are sit into. It might be hard to see from the video, but once you get down there, you can see them. I'm just going to unhook them and try to take this little 8 bolt and the other 8 bolt off and just set it to the side if that'll work. And so what I done was I did take that, what I was talking about, like the computer thingy or whatever, can't think of the technical name, took it out using a ratchet, very small, 2 little small bolts here, using a 932. And now I can take those 2 brackets, take those 2 connectors off, and I can remove the whole fan housing away from the radiator, and then we can go from there. So hold on one more time. So we've gotten up under the car now, and I had to show you this. This is where the lines are at right here. This is one of your coolant lines, and it comes all the way over here to this hose. I'm going to disconnect that hose and this hose. This is the other one here. Get something to catch the transmission fluid coming out, and then I should be able to pull the radiator straight on up without taking the fan out. And just replacing the radiator and the fan to go back in place. It's been kind of complicated trying to pull this daggum fan housing out with the room that I have. So for working room purposes, I did take this sensor off and took the breathing cover off. I'm going to take and get these 10 bolts out just so I can get this fella here out of the way real quick. And once I disconnect, I took my airline vents off. I'll show you when those go back when I put the install back. And so let me get this out the way so I can get this out the way, so I can get this out the way, get him out and get it replaced. Now the other good thing about auto mechanic work is figuring out something else that you thought that would be in the way. I'm gonna have to take my battery out to remove a 10-inch socket, 10mm socket from here to take this all the way out. So I'll be back with that. So this is what it looks like with the battery out. I have to take the terminals off and the safety thing or the holder. And this is the bolt that I have to get all the way down here to get loose, so I can get it out the way and have more mobility. One thing I have learned, if it's in your way while you're working on the automobile, take it out your way. Sometimes you can get away with not removing some things, but when it will cost you more time to try to go around it, just remove it. And I'll be back shortly. I got the fan sprout out, and I'm not gonna lie, it was just real tight in here and aggravating to get. So now I should be able to just pull my radiator on out, and we're gonna replace it. So let me go ahead and get him out of here and go from there. And I apologize. I had to take this bolt out, and that bolt down there, and that bolt out to take off the coolant system and put the new radiator in. You have to replace the top, your top rubber pieces, and your bottom rubber pieces off from your old radiator to your new one and your new cap. Now that I got this back on, I'm gonna go back and put things back together and show you all the processes of some of the things you might have missed before. But the radiator has been replaced. Once I did get the fan strail out and got the coolant, I'm gonna say like a radiator vent, but the coolant system off and installed back. So now I'm putting everything back together. I'll be going back up under the bottom. You see the little black tips on the silver lines. I'll be going back and replacing, hooking those lines back up to it, and the other coolant line down there at the bottom, and hook all the things back up to the coolant. And then I'm gonna drop the fan back in here after I take care of everything on the bottom. So I'll be right back. Now that I've connected my hoses back at the bottom, my coolant with transmission lines back to the radiator and my bottom hose, I'm gonna go ahead and put him back in, the vent thing that we had here, and put all this back together before I put the fan and the shroud back in. No. I will put the fan shroud back in before I do all of that, so I have more room to work with. So let me get the fan shroud, and you'll have to have it, and you just work it back in here. And like I said earlier, you got to figure out the best way to get it in. It get tough and it get hard. I had to catty corn it this way to get it up and out, but I see about putting it back in. Okay, hold on. And you notice on the bottom of the fan shroud, you see that one tip there, and then there's another tip that fits into the bottom, and the top, as we've seen before, they slide right back on to these clips here. That one, that two, and that third one. But down there at the bottom, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm directly over the places where the bottom two falls in. Now I went to the bottom down there to make sure I had got those two places I showed you previously. Got the bottom in, was able to come to the top and just pull, clap, pull, click, pull, click. So just putting the little small things back together. I'm gonna start hooking my wire harnesses and putting the box back on here that I took off, the computer box. This fella here, I'm gonna go ahead and get him installed back and get my wires hooked back up to it, and I will be right back.